What's going on, guys? We have a ton of TikToks to go through, so let's check these things out.
Having tattoos is only a liability and it is a 0% asset. I have watched directly the result of the progress of being tattooed and the way my life is affected. I know what it's like to have no tattoos.
Okay, so right off the bat, I think that having face tattoos and hand tattoos are probably just a negative for most people. Looking at him, he's lasering most of the stuff on his face. I can't see any of those tattoos as being very positive in your life. They're going to make people think a certain thing about you. There's no doubt about that.
I know it's like to have some, I know it's like to have a lot.
Sure.
It only has a negative impact.
In what way? Explain.
Okay, there's a lot of ways. The first is standard judgment. I knew before I got my face tattooed that I was gonna be judged for having face tattoos. The state of mind I was in then, I was young. I had this perspective on reality that is not real today. I have certain tattoos, right? That at the time was something I was really into and I really loved. We're talking 15 years later. I don't even
Right.
like that show.
The decisions you make now will last for the rest of your life. And I can only imagine that if I was an 18-year-old who went and got my face tattooed, when I'm a 45-year-old, I'm gonna feel a certain way about those tattoos. Personally, I'm in my 30s. I would have no problem getting something small on my face, but the amount of tattoos this dude has on his face that he's having to laser off, it makes sense. It wasn't a positive experience. Most people judge him negatively, and there's just nothing you can say about it. But for the average person, I don't think that tattoos are a net negative. I think a lot of the times tattoos bring out kind of the best in people. A lot of times tattoos are just a positive experience for everyone. That's why people continue to get tattooed. It makes them feel better about themselves, their confidence, maybe their insecurities aren't as big of a problem because of these tattoos. For the most part, no one judges a person's tattoo, especially when they're small, little, on your arms, on your legs. No one really cares. It's a different story when you go and get your face blasted.
Oh, this is embarrassing, but when I was 21, I went to Las Vegas and I was shooting fireworks in the desert on acid and pitch black. I'm walking out into the kind of distance and I hear a rattlesnake. So I was like, oh shit. And after that trip, I had a great trip. I was like, okay, let me memorialize it. I'm gonna get a tattoo of a rattlesnake. So I look up rattlesnake images, I get it tattooed on my back. And then years later, someone sees the tattoo and they're like, are you a libertarian? And I was like, what? And they're like, you have the "Don't Tread on Me" snake tattooed on you.
That's something to be really cautious about while you're looking up at your next tattoo. A lot of times people Google stuff and they don't actually understand what the image means. But something like that has a meaning. It's a symbol of an organization. It's a symbol of a community. And the moment you get that tattooed on yourself, even on accident, you kind of become part of that tribe. People are gonna notice it. They're gonna identify you with that subject. So you gotta be very careful when you're Googling shit, but also maybe ask your tattooer, does this image mean anything to you, or am I just getting a cool tattoo? I don't personally get it. I don't understand it. Putting things on the top of your mouth, one, you can't see it. No one will ever see it. It seems like you're just getting the tattoo for TikTok. I also don't think it'll last very long. Everything in your mouth heals kind of differently than it would anywhere else. The skin inside your mouth is completely different than the skin on your arms or your legs or your chest or anywhere else. And sometimes people try and put meanings onto tattoos that just aren't real. I'm sure she's gonna talk about spiderwebs on the elbow and something about prison. I have never known anyone from prison to actually put that stereotype on a tattoo. There's just not enough people who are like, ooh, you definitely went to prison. And people who really went to prison don't put any stock in those tattoos. Big difference from American prison system to Russian prison system.
First up, we got the Medusa. This is usually gotten by people who have survived SA, and I see a lot of ignorant comments on here saying, oh, the Medusa tattoo's overused. Yeah, that's the problem.
Okay, I don't know what SA is. I would imagine that this is something to do with mental health, and that's not what a Medusa means. I'm sorry. There's just not a whole group of people who are that's the only reason you could get a Medusa. Medusa is just an image. It makes a great tattoo. Do the Medusa. It has nothing to do with SA people. Just because SA people get it doesn't mean that that's what that tattoo means.
We got the spiderweb tattoo on the elbow. This is used to represent how long an inmate served in prison, which I did not know when I got mine.
See, that like always makes me laugh because they're like, this represents how long you've been in prison. Well, there's nobody with spider webs with like 30 years on them, you know? Like, I don't understand how that's supposed to represent a time frame. You don't see spider webs with just one. You don't see spiderweb with just 3. It's not. It's nonsense. It's just a spiderweb on the elbow, and it's been tattooed on people long before it had anything to do with prison tats.
Then we have the upside down pineapple. This is a symbol created by swingers for swingers to identify other swingers.
That's not true because I will live in a town where we do pineapple tattoos almost every single day. I live in Paradise. I live in Sayulita, Mexico. We always are doing pineapples. It has nothing to do with swingers. If you walk up to someone with a pineapple tattoo and ask if they're a swinger, even if that shit's upside down, they're gonna be like, bruh, what are you talking about? No, I just like Paradise.
Phoenix means rebirth, but specifically it means somebody that has struggled with anger issues and feels like they overcame it.
No, it specifically doesn't mean that. These meanings of tattoos that you're like, these are just regular tattoos that people picked and they didn't put that much meaning into it, and it doesn't characterize the entire group of people who get the tattoo. It just doesn't. It's way different than like the guy who's getting the "Don't Tread on Me" snake, because that represents an organization that establishes this image as their motto or their logo. These tattoos are just tattoos that people get, and you could say that they have meaning or not, but there's not enough people to really enforce the meaning behind. People are just getting these tattoos because they like the tattoos. Okay, so I kind of always hate watching these things. Tattoos that are mostly just made for TikToks. That's how I feel about them. Even you thought of the TikTok before you thought of the tattoo. One, the tattoo isn't a good idea to do like that, even though they're into like clearly body modification stuff. I just don't think that that makes a great tattoo, but it does make a good TikTok. End result. Yeah, TikTok sometimes ruins tattoos, honestly. Now, the one TikTok I want to talk about, this is a healed image. I almost always talk shit on tattoos that look like these, but this one is really well done, and it has the structure in place to make it a great tattoo for the rest of this person's life. This is a healed photo, a healed video, and like clearly you can tell that looks like a patch. It's gonna continue to look like a patch. It looks really good, and whenever those things like the white fade, it's not a big deal. But yeah, sometimes I'm wrong about things, and that's one of those times. I hope you like this video. Make sure you stick around, like, subscribe. We're trying to beat Ink Master, so we got like exactly 1.5 million subscribers to go. So thank you so much. See you next week.